He's 30 years old. He's had 9 years to establish himself. What is an income that you would feel comfortable living your lifestyle on at the moment if he's 30?
If he's 30 and he's been working for almost 10 years, maybe 150 to 200 for his work experience.
Wait, how did you?
One of my first questions is I'm asking you how much money you make. I
Oh,
don't want to
really?
waste your time. Yeah. I
You
am.
ask that on a first date?
I mean, yeah, I am. Before I maybe even date you.
What?
Okay. So I have a group of 7 girls here with me today. We're gonna be having a conversation about income. I'm gonna be asking them some questions and also revealing to them some statistics surrounding male income and the reality of what's going on. And I really wanna stress here in the beginning, the point of these videos is not to make anybody look stupid. It's just to have a conversation.
I'm not red pill, guys, I promise.
It's how we understand and learn about these topics. So without further ado, let's get into it. How old are you?
I'm 25.
25, 24.
I'm 27.
29.
31.
25. Okay, and then what do you do for a living?
Healthcare reimbursement consultant.
I'm a copywriter.
I
Oh.
am in the life insurance industry.
I was gonna
I
say.
am a lead engineer for a software consulting company.
I work at a medical spa.
Ooh.
And I'm in school.
I am a photographer and I also work in data analytics.
I am a mental health therapist.
And is your partner's income something that's
What are
important
kind
to you?
mental health
Not
therapists?
necessarily.
Are there other types of
They're working
therapists?
for
I guess you could be a
themselves
physical
and doing
therapist.
something that
Okay.
they're passionate about.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's important in the sense that I would like them to be doing something that they enjoy. Their outlook on their job probably matters more than my outlook on their job. And because that's gonna set the stage of our dynamic really is their lifestyle doesn't match with mine. And I don't really think it matters in terms of how much they're making. And I think, again, this just comes down to being realistic about money and money standards that we have in people. And I would want to be with someone that is driven, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the dollar has to be a certain number to match that.
Kind of.
Okay, explain.
It's important to me that they can function independently from me, and it's important to me that I can function independently from them.
Okay. You would be totally okay with like contributing 50-50 to the relationship.
I would prefer that.
That's the vibe I was getting.
Yes. I would prefer that mostly because I don't like feeling like love is transactional. I don't like feeling like in an argument, if we're at a low point, someone can hold that over me and be like, well, I paid for this.
Something I've never thought about, well, I say I've never thought about it, but I actually did think about this like a week ago, is when I think about relationships of like men and women, I wonder how much of that was formed by the fact that, I guess in my group, the people that my life, whatever, like when I think of my wife, I think of my kid's mom, every woman I've dated has been working. I've never been like in a sync relationship, single income, no kids. I feel like I've always had like, I feel like my girlfriends have always worked. Was there a point in time where you date at like 18, 19, 20 where the
Yo,
girl
Nest,
is
I
not
thought
working?
we were doing politics after Factorio was done.
Yep.
Snoozifist.
This is politics, sociopolitics, because it's not like the 1920s. Yeah, I don't know, I kind of wonder. Because I hear people say like, oh, like both people need to earn money. And like when I grew up, like every girlfriend I'm dating is like working. It's not like somebody's like, you're providing for me at like 19.
And I paid for that because in my head, I'm already keeping track of shit like that you could use over me, and that's just an insecurity that I have, so I wouldn't want someone to be contributing more than that.
So you would.
Was Melina working? Kind of, but like I had, basically the way I worked with Melina is I told her when we started, I met her in New Zealand and I see a lot of potential. She's young, she's hot, she's Swedish. And I'm like, listen, I love you very much. If you come back to the United States with me, I'll love you, I'll marry you, we'll do whatever, and we can make so much money together. So then I started getting her involved in the streaming stuff. I showed her a way to make a ton of money. I had other girls talk to her to kind of get her into the whole streaming world. I'm just kidding. Wait, you have exes that didn't work either? I'm pretty sure every ex I had, there was that one girl I dated like long distance for like a year. She didn't work, but I mean, that was like kind of a thing.
I would want to do more of like the team mentality of like, we're doing this together, we're growing our wealth together, we're throwing things in together rather than like one person being the sole provider.
Oh my god.
Did you ever have Teresa to work for you? No, she worked at the, oh no, I guess she didn't work that much. She worked at the mall actually for a little bit, but she would like quit and then restart depending on how much her manager pissed her off. I guess, maybe not. I'm thinking, I guess, in my early life, like my first wife and my kid's mom, we always worked. That's how we got our first house.
Yes, absolutely yes.
It is important to me, but it's not something that is like a main factor when I'm considering a relationship or a partner.
So you're not asking on the first date, how much money do you make?
Oh my gosh, no.
Yes and no. I do believe that, like, while money isn't everything, unfortunately, with just society and living and the cost of living, it does matter a little bit. It really does. To me, I don't really make great money right now because I'm very new into the workforce.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to judge anybody for pretty much how much they make because I am not making a lot. So I can't be like, oh, you have to make, this much money for me to date you and then not contribute in some way, because that is big for me too. I want to be able to contribute financially and feel like as much as I can that it's equal.
I'm trying to think of any situation. I feel like if a girl ever asks you, how much money do you make on the first date? That's got to be like the most red flag shit in the world. That's like, okay, I'm taking you back to my apartment and I'm f***ing you for $200. It's just like, are we doing like a pay for pussy thing here? That's like, I can't imagine somebody asking that on a first date. So how much money do you make? It would be like, what?
So yeah, I mean, yes, it does matter in a sense, but also it's not the end all be all. Like, I don't judge people because if they make like, $40K a year, obviously not great, but I'm like, hey, I'm barely making that. So
Yeah.
who am I to judge?
So you're kind of holding your partner to the same standard you're holding yourself.
Yeah, and
which is fair.
Yeah, and as we get older, sure, our incomes increase, absolutely. And, I'm 25, my partner will probably be in their 20s as well one day, so... Yeah, I mean, we're only going to work up, and so that's
I'm 25
exciting.
and my partner will be in their 20s one day. Wow. Actual fucking pedophile.
Places to go. So at this point in my life, I don't think it's that big of a deal. No.
Got it. Okay. And you're thinking of it in terms of like, we can grow together.
Yes.
Right? Like, I'm not waiting for you at the finish line.
Yeah.
Like, we're building this together.
Yeah.
So what is the age of the person that you would want to be with?
I feel like age is important, but I have learned throughout my lifetime that no matter what age they are, they could be 30 and act like a 12-year-old, or they could be 23 and be very, centered and mature. I think at this age of being 25, I've looked like 26 to 32 would be kind of the area, the range I've looked at.
26 to 32.
Okay, so if you had to pick a number, maybe 28.
That's so specific.
28, 29.
Probably anywhere between 24 and 32. Probably 24 and 30, maybe 24 and 32.
Okay, do you want to go in the middle, like 27-ish?
Yeah,
Okay.
love a good 27.
Just to
27 is
pick a
supposed to be
number.
a hot year, too. I'm excited for that.
25 to 30 right now, I think would be ideal. For me too, I wouldn't mind a couple years older. So I wouldn't mind like 28 or even a little bit in the 30s too, like 31, 32.
Okay, do you want to go 28 just to be safe?
Yeah, let's go 28. Yeah, that's good.
Ideally, I
safe?
would like
Are
to
they-
be with someone around my age just because we would have grown up with similar dynamics in terms of references that we understand, and then also to just, I would like to be with someone that is maybe around my age but also kind of young at heart too.
Okay, so if you had to pick an age, what would you say?
I would say if I had to pick an age, probably 33, 34.
I don't think I would date anyone younger than me just because I don't know, maybe a little bit younger than me and not
What?
too much, but the maturity.
It's Melon. How are you, Melon?
A melon.
Stop. I'm streaming. What the Mel?
You wanted.
Not on stream.
Level with men is just not there yet. I've noticed. I've dated men that are 10, 12 years older than me, and they're still not as mature. I don't know. I guess it's just the type of person that I'm with, but at least 35.
35. Okay, so do you want to go 35 just to be safe?
Let's do 35.
Okay.
Let's do
I
35.
prefer to date men that are at least 4 to 5 years older than me, just from a maturity standpoint. I don't want a guy that's still in his club and bar hopping phase. To me, that's really unattractive. I also don't want somebody younger than me, so I would definitely say like
Fuck.
at least
That's the
4
phase
to
I'm in
5
right now.
years older than my age. Yeah.
We only speak English in this household.
Do we want to go 28 or 29?
28, 29 is good. Preferably 30 to 32 is the best for me, but somebody in their
So
late
we'll choose
20s.
30.
I go for a range between the age of 30 and 10 years older than me, ideally 34.
And what would you want
Is-
his income to be,
Is this woman black or white?
realistically?
Okay, we're at about 55% 50% Black, 38% Latinx.
At this current point in time?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, okay. At this current point in time, at the age of 34, I would like it to be between $100,000 and $120,000.
50K or up.
Okay. Do you want to just say 50K?
Yeah. Let's say 50K.
Oh, I'd like it to.
Wait, what is she? Hold on, I'm sitting there listening.
Realistically.
At this current point in time?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, okay. At this current point in time, at the age of 34, I would like it to be between $100,000 and $120,000.
Jesus.
50K or up.
Okay. Do you want to just say 50K?
Yeah. Let's say 50K.
Over 100.
Jesus.
Okay. So give me one number. Do you want to do 120, 100?
Let's do 120.
120.
And
that's to where you would feel comfortable, you know, you would live a comfortable life. That would feel realistic for you.
Yeah. I mean, with the way our like society is going and our world is going, 120 I feel is comfortable.
Okay.
And that's pushing it, maybe even. Like we could maybe do a little bit lower, but we'll stick with 120.
Okay.
I would hope that, you know, if they're going to be if they're at that age, depending on their path and the career that they're in, you know, I'm assuming they've been working for probably 6, maybe 7 years if they're 28. Maybe between 65 and 90.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to go 75?
Yeah, we can go 75, yeah.
At least 50K.
I would say then I would want someone to make about, you know, then 70, probably 75.
Did she get her non-rich friends for this video?
Like I said, it doesn't really matter if they're able to pay their own bills and they're able to support themselves financially. That's what's important. Like I said, it's not really that much of a factor because income is so relative to where you are in your career, whether you just got out of school and you're pursuing a medical job, or if you're in like a business type industry like I am, like in financial services of sorts. It really varies, you know. But I'm not gonna put a number on it because it's too variable. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Because it's discriminatory to judge a guy based on how much money he makes.
Okay,
wow.
so we can kind of go off that. Say he graduated college when he turned, 21, 22? So he's like 9 years out of college. He's 30 years old. He's had 9 years to establish himself. What is an income that you would feel comfortable living your lifestyle on at the moment if he's 30?
If he's 30 and he's been working for almost 10 years, maybe 150 to 200 for his work experience.
Wait, how did she?
150.
How did she move?
But you also said you think it's discriminatory.
It
to
is,
put a
but you're
number on
making me
it.
put a number on it. So with somebody that's got 10 years
happened?
of work experience, they should be getting compensated well for the time that they put in and the amount of years of experience that they have in that field if they've stayed with the same field.
What do you think is the median income for the age that you specified, so 35, if you had to guess?
Like 70?
Jeez.
Actually, 52,000.
Okay.
Does that surprise you?
It does.
Lower than you thought?
It's a little lower than I thought, yeah.
Okay, so 15% of men are 35 making 120.
Hard to find.
It's a small percentage.
Yes, it is.
Right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's definitely more than some people, but
Yeah.
15 is still not that big.
No?
I'm going to guess it's probably around 50, 55.
33, the median is 49.
Okay.
So you were kind of close there, around the same ballpark. And then the number you chose was 75. 75,000 at 33 is the top 27% of men.
Okay.
So, I mean,
A little less realistic, I suppose.
it's not so crazy. 27% is not that much, but it's definitely more realistic than some of the other things.
These corporations need to start paying up more.
And inflation's really kicking us.
That's the big thing.
For age 34.
Why watch more of these videos?
tough.
Were you cool with creating incels now?
Yeah.
Or were you just ready to need another anti-misogyny arc?
You know what? Here's what I'm going to say. Are you guys ready? I'm going to trigger the fuck out of all of you. This is what I said when I say this a lot and people get really triggered. I always said that even when I was working poor, and I'm totally admitting this is just my life experience, okay? When I was working poor, gas prices were never a make or break for me. Like when I think of like, I can't afford to live, I'm losing my house, etc. It was never like, oh my God, I spend so much on gas. It's just never been a factor for me. But I know that like, but it was strange during the Biden stuff. Like everybody seemed to obsess over like gas prices. Now people are also saying that maybe the cost of like other food goes up when gas goes up. I guess maybe. But when I was working, I always drove small cars. The one thing that always triggered the fuck out of me when I saw people complain about gas prices climbing was, why the f are so many poor, dumb Americans crying about gas when all of you guys drive trucks? It was the one thing that I never understood. I could never, ever, ever get it. All of these people would cry about gas prices and they're driving these huge, disgusting trucks. And I'm like, I don't believe you. I don't believe you when you tell me that gas is expensive and it's hurting you when you drive these gas-guzzling monster vehicles. Fuck all of you. And I drove around my little Dodge Neon, my little Volkswagen GTI, my little whatever. I don't know. That was my thing. I think that the Zoomer equivalent of that, ready? Here you go. Here it goes. Here we go. If you DoorDash more than once a month, I don't think you can ever complain about inflation. Boom. There you go. If you DoorDash more than once a month, I cannot believe how expensive it is. How much do you think I spent yesterday? Yesterday when I DoorDashed my cheeseburger from Five Guys. I got a double cheeseburger with bacon. I got a small fry, and I got a Coke Zero. How much do you think that costs? For that one meal, it cost me $39. I'm pretty sure that if I really tried, I'm pretty sure that I could live off less than $100 a month in groceries. If I really stretched, I think I could. $25 a week? Probably not on Miami Beach. If I'm doing like rice and beans and shit, we're stretching. But I know for $200 a month, very easily, I could live off of $200 a month for groceries.
What's up, Destiny? Can you say
easily?
Happy birthday, Jonathan.
The idea that I, as one person on one single meal, can easily spend $30 or $40 on like one DoorDash fucking not even a great meal, is wild. It's absolutely wild. How much does the meal cost if you go to the place? I don't know. For some reason on DoorDash, for all these meal things, it's literally like $15, $20 in markups on like random shit. But anyway, yeah. Zoomers that do that shit are wild and then complain about inflation. How long was your commute when you were working poor? If you had an hour or two commute due to traffic, that's a lot of gas to go through being stuck on $4.95. $4.95? I don't know what that means. Back then it was $5.15 an hour, $5.25 an hour, I think, when I worked at McDonald's. I actually commuted. I'm trying to think. I lived in South Omaha off of 42nd and L. So it was 42nd and L to the casino. Although I lived up at 108th and Maple before in Omaha. Probably like a 30-minute commute. It was a decent commute, I think. It took me about 20-30 minutes, which is like a decent Midwest commute. Now, if you live in any of your cities, it's like 2 hours to go fucking 10 miles. But in Nebraska, I think you could do over a mile a minute, I think, depending where you're going, because you just hop on the interstate and it's not like super crowded. But yeah, I always drove compacts. I always drove small cars. I never understood people that drove, like, when I see one person sitting in a minivan or an SUV, I'm just like thinking, like, what the fuck are you doing? It's just, it blows my mind. $4.95 is a highway loop? Maybe, yeah. There's a way to know everything. What is it? I think it's any interstate that ends in an even number, I think always runs east to west. So like if I make up, like if there's an Interstate 90 or if there's an I-40 in the US, I think it always runs east-west. Anything going north and south ends in an odd number. So like the 5 or I-5 when you get to Washington, or like if there's an interstate like 85, it's always north-south. And then there's a thing for exchanges and add-ons or whatever as well. So like for instance, I think if it's like if it's an even first number, it's like an exchange that goes like east. So like 405 versus like the 705. There's the way that the numbers work is actually it's all supposed to tell you like but nobody knows. I don't care about it, but yeah. This video covers what you're talking about. Oh, does it?
The interstate highway shields hide within them long forgotten knowledge, as our great ancestors could navigate by the signs in the sky before the creation of majors, beginning with the next northernest is San Francisco.
Oh, yeah, whatever.
Because it's not my own age. Maybe 70,000.
Bro, the price here is $7 per gallon. The average monthly wage is €1,000. Listen, I'm not speaking about European gas prices. Okay, I don't know anything about your shit. Fuck you. Destiny, my family is all working poor and they have to drive a lot for their small business. Family works in the landscape. Yeah, if you have to do that shit, it's probably different, right? I don't think gas prices were high in my carpet cleaning days, but I imagine if they went up there for the carpet cleaning van, gas prices would probably start to get pretty shitty, but.
Maybe 65?
It is $50,000.
I could see that being real.
Okay, 100,000 at age 34 is the top 17% of men.
That feels like better odds.
Yeah.
I feel good about that.
Do you have to pay gas for your van?
80,000?
It's actually 45,000.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Obviously not.
Does that shock you?
Did I tell you? I didn't realize the game to be played. I thought I got ripped off on my carpet cleaning shit. Because my wages, by the time I factored in everything, I'm not going to tell the story, but like by the time I factored in how much time I was spending at my carpet cleaning job, I was basically making like $250 an hour. I was kind of fucked, and I was like, my life is getting destroyed over this shit job. I didn't realize, and I don't know if this is true of all small businesses, I didn't realize that you were supposed to be stealing from the fucking company though, and they had like fucking priced that in basically. That people would take their carpet cleaning vans, they would drive out and they would sell jobs at massively discounted rates to customers, but they would pocket all the money. I didn't know that people were doing that, because I'd always wondered, like, how the fuck do you guys make a living doing all this carpet cleaning shit? And it's like, oh, we sell jobs out of our vans without like telling the boss. It's like, oh, well, fuck me, I'm a fucking retard. So you might charge a customer like $300 for a job, and my commission was 16%. So for a $300 job, it's probably taking you 3 to 4 hours, and I'd make $16 an hour for those 3 to 4 hours, but it doesn't include downtime before or after. So I might make, we'll say $48 on a $300 job. However, another person would go and sell that same job for $200. They'd give them a $100 discount. So customer saves 1/3 right off the top, but then they pocket the whole job. So I'm making, $30-$40 off a job. Another guy might make $200 off that job, and he's not telling the boss about it. I didn't know any of that shit. I didn't know that until like the end of my carpet cleaning days. I don't know if everybody does that in small business shit or like contractor work, where you just like sell jobs out of your own shit. But fuck. As a personal trainer, people try to do that all the time. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Oh, a guy did it to me when I talked to a personal trainer at the fucking in California. He's like, oh, dude, I can train you at like a different gym, but we can't do it here, and you can't tell anybody. It's like, oh, okay. I know this game. I've heard of this one before.
It does, because I've worked my entire career. I've worked around people that have made 6 figures out the gate, starting in my field. So income-wise, I guess.
What's our field again?
I am a little sheltered because I've been around young people that are in high income earning positions from such a young age, and they only grow with their success.
She works in insurance?
Because that's all I know. Like I've been in my industry for quite a few years now. Like that's all I know. I'm not really paying attention to like what's outside of that. So
the median income, I'm gonna go with 82,000.
It's 42,000 for a 28-year-old.
Wow.
And why does that shock you?
I think, and I could attribute it to maybe the industry that I'm in and the people that I've really been surrounded with my whole career. I've worked in finance my whole life, and I guess I'm making an assumption here that maybe the median is higher in that field, but I guess I just assumed that, at 20, I don't know, 42 just seems very low, especially given like inflation and all of that. Just like, it's 2023, I would assume that a 28-year-old was making more than 42.
Damn.
I don't know. It surprises me.
How much do
So
you make?
your own experience, the people you're around, people you've dated, all kind of contribute to why you're assuming that.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So if we're looking at a 28-year-old making $75K, as you mentioned, that's the 81st percentile. So 19% of men, essentially, are making that amount at 28.
I'm pretty sure. I thought that the median income overall was 40K in the US.
Okay.
And so I'm going to guess for the average 27-year-old, although the average 27-year-old in our generation, probably a lot more college degrees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot more people go to college now.
Yeah, I'll say 55.
It's 41.
I knew it! I said 42!
Oh my God, chill.
You were close.
I
You were
knew
close.
it.
I mean, 50 is still pretty close.
It is.
But it's actually crazy because the median income never eclipses $61,000 regardless of the age. That's in the workforce between ages 16 and 75.
But we love capitalism, don't we? I'm not going to bring that into your video, so I put that out. I appreciate that. You can put it in if you want, but I got feelings. Again, that's
capitalism.
not on my partner, that's on society.
Right. Over 70%
Does anyone else
of men never even
capitalism?
make 100K once in their lifetime.
Oh, that breaks my heart.
Does it surprise you?
No.
No.
No. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps is false. It's not fucking true.
Wow.
The top 1% are the top 1% for a reason.
Wow.
Not all of us can possibly make that much money. Stats like this I think they need to be made known, because I think a lot of women are like led to believe that it's easy to make that much money, and then it's easy for a man to make that much money. Like, bitch, if it's hard for you to make that much money, it's hard for him to make that much money. I mean, it's harder for you because women are always going to make less. Unfortunately, that's where we're at right now.
Did
For
she
you
just
to make
say
that much, to
bitch?
believe that
Did she
it's
say?
easy
Wait, did you really call her?
to make that much money, and then it's easy for a man to make that much money. Like, bitch, if it's hard for you to make that much money, it's hard for him to
She said, bitch.
make that much money. I mean, it's harder for you because women are always going to make less. Unfortunately, that's where we're at right now. But that doesn't surprise me at all. And I would never expect someone to eventually make that much money over the course of their life. I'm just trying to live a comfortable life. I'm not trying to get too extravagant.
It is shocking. Well, maybe companies need to start paying people proportionally to things like inflation, rising costs of housing, rising costs of taxes, because putting people in those types of positions long term is not going to be good, because you can only live
Just found out about wages, man. Shit sucks.
Start becoming unaffordable. So expecting somebody to work 50 years of their life and not make more than $60,000 is kind of unrealistic for how expensive things are getting and will continue to get for people.
Yeah, like out of college, my first job, I think I made 35 or 37K. Like my first job out of college, which is less than the median, which is crazy to think about. But over 70% of men never even make 100K once in their lifetime.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you're 24 already making that yourself, then when you're looking at the dating pool, it's like you expect people to be at that level too because you are. And I think that's kind of the tunnel vision that a lot of people have, or just their like little bubble of life, you know, like.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, like I said, it's an unfair judgment to put a number on what you think a guy is supposed to make, because it varies so much depending on what you do for a living, how long you've been working, what field you're in. You know, that those are not really fair questions or numbers to like put on somebody, because it varies. I mean, like, if that's your lifestyle and that's what you're comfortable with, then yeah, you're gonna go for somebody that. If I'm in my lifestyle and I've been doing this and I want somebody in my field almost, then yeah, there's like some expectations for that, because that's just like what it is, because every field is a little bit different. Like, if both think about it, like 2-income household, if both people are teachers and they're making an average of $45,000 a year, they're bringing home $90,000 collectively as a household to support both of their lifestyles, pay taxes, pay their mortgage, those sort of things. It's all relative to what both people are doing, and I do see that. In my field, because I do work on a client-to-client basis, I see people's incomes. And I think that some of them are disproportionate to their age and their work experience. However, I do feel like the people that they choose to be with and marry and be in relationships with, both incomes are similar. I see that.
Oh, that's interesting. Because you work with,
I work with people on a client-to-client basis, so I see the income.
And it's normally kind of proportionate. Like,
it is proportionate.
Equivalent, yeah.
Yes, it is.
I think that's why some guys get upset, because there's like girls who don't want to work or don't make any money, and then they want a guy to make $1 million.
Yeah, that's not fair. Yeah, no, that's not fair. I mean, like, if you're...
It's interesting that she works, so what she just said is actually true, right? That people tend to date with an income. Everybody... Like, I mean, it's easy. It's kind of like an easy common sense thing when you think about it, because like all these red pill guys are like, oh no, girls want all girls want guys making 6 figures. It's like there's not that many guys. Like, there's not that many guys to go around, my dude. People tend to date within their income ranges.
You're not putting your end of your work in. It's not gonna work.
We'll go 55.
42,000 for a 28-year-old.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah.
And if we're looking, let's see, you said 50,000.
She's so deflated.
40% of men make that.
Okay. I mean,
So
it's not bad.
the odds are kind of in your favor. I mean, it's like almost half, you know?
Yeah. I also think too that like jobs don't pay nearly what they should in like any profession. So it's just like, oh, it's sad to hear that.
I know.
Like 42K is the average for like a 28-year-old. Like, wow.
Yeah, and then like regardless of age, so between 16 and 75, the median income never eclipses $61,000, regardless of the age.
Wow.
If we're looking at medians. Which I think median is a better thing to use here instead of averages, because the averages include like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, who are making
Billions.
buttloads of money. So it kind of sways the data, you know?
Yeah.
And then over 70% of men never even make 100K once in their lifetime.
Yeah.
Which is sad when you hear it, because I just know so many men in my life who worked so hard their entire life.
Yeah.
And they never will ever make that amount of money.
And that's like, and it's depending on how well educated those men are too. Like, college plays a huge factor. Like, well, okay, what's the point of going to college then?
Right.
You know, college promotes you like, oh, you'll have a better job and you'll have a better income. And then you go to college and you get out of college and you're like, no, like I'm not making what I was told I would be making.
The average salary for a master's degree is like $69,000. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And then you have a ton of debt from going to school.
And then
Yeah.
you're constantly playing catch up, and then you're not even making what you were told to be making, and that just, it's infuriating. It's infuriating, and that's a whole other topic we'll probably get into about like the education system and just higher education is like, is it really worth it almost to go back to school?
Right.
All right, so now I'm really even like, oh man, I really shouldn't judge anybody for how much they make, because I'm like, oh my god, we're all struggling out here.
I know. Well, and I think that too, like a lot of people don't know that, and they're so hard on themselves, they're so hard on other people because they don't know the reality.
Yeah. Right.
And like what you're asking for in a partner, I think a lot of people have these unrealistic standards of what they want their ideal partner to be like, right? It's like we're going to Whole Foods buying groceries, it's a checklist of what we want someone to be, but when you figure out the reality of what you're asking for, it's like, whoa, no wonder I'm not having luck, because I'm asking for crazy stuff.
Yeah, like that is unreal. And like at the end of the day,
This is something I strongly believe in. I don't believe that happens. I am a firm believer, actually not a believer. This is one of the few things that I've learned in life, okay? I think I talked about this on some other show I was on recently. People will date a surprisingly diverse group of people if they click. The number one way that I've seen this, that I kind of talk around this, is that like whenever somebody says like, oh, like I'm not looking to date anybody right now, or, oh, I would never date XYZ type of person, they absolutely would, given the right circumstances. They absolutely would. People say things like, oh yeah, I would never date like my friend's ex, or I would never date like in my friend group or whatever. But as soon as they find the right person, they'll do it. I don't believe that there's a girl that could like meet a guy, they get along, they click super well, everything's fine, and then she's like, oh no, he's only earning $75K a year, like it's not gonna work. I don't think that. I just don't believe that ever happens. I super don't believe it.
my god, like me and my partner aren't making that much money. As long as we're happy together, that's fine. I mean, with those statistics too, it's almost like, oh my god, how do you even find somebody that's making? How do I even make 3 or 6 figures one day? Like, I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever get there myself. So who am I to judge, you know?
It's kind of crazy because the median income, regardless of the age, so you said 33, but regardless of the age, it never eclipses $61,000 across the board. And then over 70% of men.
How does he still pull up his
100K.
logged in account on Stream? Wait, did somebody use Streamlink or something? Destiny, how about you just preach what you walk? Good one.
Once in their lifetime, just kind of crazy.
What I think is interesting about this is that these women work and their answers are so reasonable compared to the women in previous videos. I can say things where like I don't actually want to. I don't know. Well, it sounds mean, and I could be post-talking it. I was gonna say something at the beginning, but maybe what somebody said in chat influenced me already. When I look at these women,
crazy to think about.
I guess it's probably.
I can't even when I say this. It feels like I'm post-talking this so bad. But like I feel like when I look at these women,
to like put on believe that it's easy to
like these women look to me like they're like middle class women. That they just, I don't know why or how.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Or maybe I can't. We should do like a thing where I look at videos and try to guess the income. When I look at the, I'm not saying they look ugly. I'm just saying there's like when I looked at the, fuck, what was the crazy income one where they talk about like 500K and shit? It was on the search results. Go back. Courtney Ryan. Oh.
Fully off of your sure. What percent?
This person, I don't know why. This person just looks rich to me. I could be wrong, and maybe there's like a bias, but like I would see this person like, oh shit, like your parents are lawyers and they're the poorest ones in your family tree probably. Like that's how wealthy this person looks. I don't know if it's like the perfect teeth, if it's like the perfect hair, the perfect skin, the kind of like fashionable clothing, the like
percent of the family.
And I think almost everybody in these videos looked like.
I feel like
these people all look rich. I don't know if it's designer clothes. I don't know, or like the jewelry. They just look. All of these people look like they come from very, very, very wealthy backgrounds.
Lens would be super cool.
Like very prep school, very not like new money, like wealthy families. That's like the impression I get. And then these people are all saying things like
in the media,
like, oh, like I want my husband to have like 500K in income and shit. But then I look at them like, yeah, you guys all look like you guys look really wealthy. Whereas for some reason I feel like these people don't as much. But I could also just be post-talking all of that. Maybe I just make this all up in my head. I don't know.
Everything you see on the internet, take with a grain of salt for the most part, because you can work from home and not wear any pants and still have a nice shirt on and no one's gonna know. So really perception is reality, and you got.
So I'm saying you don't know why, you know what you're looking for, clothes, makeup, and so on. Yeah, but it's not it's not just that. I feel like when you're wealthy, I think that there's probably two things going on. One is kind of shitty, is you probably are working with a higher set of genetics, get mad. But second is you can afford a lot of stuff for your kids relating to their health that probably comes out in appearance wise. Like, so for instance, like your teeth, like wealthy people always have like perfect teeth for their kids because they're always getting like braces, they're making sure they've got good dental health. You're never gonna find like if you go to like a prep school or like a private college or even for expensive state schools, you're not gonna find people with like fucked up teeth. That just doesn't happen. Like incredibly rare. So that's usually a thing. Their clothes oftentimes look very new and nice. Not necessarily like, I'm not talking like Gucci or Prada, like designer shit. If anything, those people come off as poorer to me, or like they're trying to flaunt some bullshit that a guy bought or whatever. But they just look like very nice. Like I feel like I could go to like an alumni function event or some shit, and I would see them sitting there with like their wealthy parents. Like there's just like a way that they look, where it's like, damn, these are like prep school kids, super wealthy prep school kids. That's what it looks like to me. But also. Oh, and the way they speak, very educated. They speak very well. Yeah. But I could be post-talking literally all of that. I could be post-talking everything I just said there. So, yeah, I don't know.
Got to take it for what it is.
He has thought a lot about this. I went to a wealthy prep school, and the girls that I dated came from other wealthy prep schools when I went to college. No, not college, high school. I went to Creighton Prep in Omaha, and then like all the girls I dated and everything came from like Marianne, Duchesne, and Mercy? Was that the other all-girls high school? And people at prep schools, because my friend Chris, was like a poor Mexican dude. He sold weed. So we would always make, and my family background by the time I got to high school was fucked. We were getting kicked out of houses and shit. So me and him would always, it was probably a cope, I guess, when we were younger, but we would always make fun of like prep kids and how prep kids looked and their lifestyles and their families, whatever. Like when we go to like Kyle's house, like his mom is like making dinner in their big house for their family that's like all perfect and everything. And then me and Chris would go drive around and like fuck around and just do wild, stupid shit because our lives were fucking weird as fuck. But there was like, it was a very different world. Like wealthy people just live in like a different kind of world and ecosystem. Everything in their lives are different. Their cars are nicer. They don't have check engine lights on all the time. None of their phones are getting shut off. They've always got one parent in the household checking on you, making sure everything is okay and cooking meals for you. Their siblings are always like in sports after school and shit. It's like a whole different world when you've got like wealthy families versus like kind of like busted families. I don't know how to explain it, but like, because because I kind of had like one foot in both worlds when I was doing school, and you kind of see like the differences in lifestyles. I guess it's a whole different ecosystem of existence between like wealthy prep families versus. But I'm saying prep because I went to prep. I mean, I'm sure there's like billionaire families and everything, but yeah, it's just like a totally different. Yeah.
Then understand that that's where you're at in life is not contingent on where someone else is, because if you're caught up with what everyone else is doing and flexing whatever and having all of this FOMO, you're gonna be really unhappy.
Yeah.
And so I think just having a singular line of thought with where your goals are going is way more important than trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you what made you say.
Test it out here.
Well-dressed, beautiful black woman in Seattle.
Oh, guess my income. Well, this is going to be weird because it's like they're trying to throw you off. So I don't know if you're going to get people that are going to be like, oh, I look like really wealthy, but I make $22,000 a year. We can try it after this. I don't know. We'll try it. We'll write it down.
That number specifically, like, is it the people you're around? Is it your industry? Is it guys you've dated? Like, kind of all.
You guys I've dated, my industry, those sort of things. So
I would say that's a combination of all of those. I would say just in terms of people I've dated, and then also, you know, including my income as well. But again, in terms of that number, I understand that that's not where.
Why did you say middle to upper class or better genetics? Is there any empirical evidence to this? It would just be a guess in terms of like how people find mates and have children and all that. There's probably some genetic like shit that is like moving through different lines. That would be my guess in terms of things related to like physical health, things related to mental health, etc. It's just a guess. I could be wrong, but.
Everybody's at, and that's fine with me. In terms of where I'm at is I'm very much comfortable with being someone who makes more. That's never been an issue for me. The only issue I've had is other people being intimidated by that or not accepting the dynamic for what it is. And I think that can be hard when we do push this pressure on men to be the breadwinners when we don't need to do that.
I very much am very happy with the 50-50 income split, but actually the big thing for me and the big reason why money would be important is that it actually shows, I've kind of mentioned this, drive. So for somebody who is making more money, and I'm sure that there are people who don't make as much, who have a lot of passion, a lot of drive, which is fantastic, but if you're making that much, it already is being shown, and you're on a trajectory to continue forward and be successful.
Actually, that's kind
so
of
it kind
true-ish,
of shows you other traits that this person could maybe have that would be appealing to you.
Exactly.
Okay.
I make 52, so I think 50K is comfortable. My first job out of college, I made 30K. It was a nightmare. I knew I was underpaid, but I thought I was getting good experience. I wasn't. It sucked. The job just was awful. But I hated making 30K. I had to pick up a bartending job on the side. It was a nightmare. And so I think people who make less than 50K are probably, they have enough things going on that prioritizing a relationship might be difficult for them. Not impossible, but it might be difficult. And I guess like I could date someone who makes under 50K, but it would have to be like, I would never want them to, I wouldn't want them to feel like that they had to keep up with me and my lifestyle, or that they had to match my lifestyle, because that's a lot of pressure to put on someone. And so I would want someone who we don't even have to deal with that pressure. But again, if I like him a lot and he makes a little bit of money, I'm sure I'd try to make it work for a little bit.
I chose 120 just because of my income myself, the lifestyle that I'm single, I have a child, so we live, I'm 30.
What's your income?
I already have my ways set and
I'm
what
so
I enjoy
curious.
doing, and I know how much that costs to do. So I want to live comfortably. I want to be able to have fun.
Is this a single mom earning 100K? Jesus.
And do things and not be just like stuck. And I want to have nice things. I don't want to live out of my means, but I just want to have nice things.
Yeah, so I guess on average right now, I am making about 50K. I don't even think I'm making that much, to be completely honest with you. And I'm so new that like my income is so low that I'm kind of like, oh, well, I'm just gonna take my income, and if it's the same as mine, that's fine, you know? So that's kind of where I came up with 50K. That was honestly it. It was just for my own personal, I'm like, yeah, that's what I make. That's probably what other people make too, right?
Right.
So
a lot of people use that
lady
as a way
sounds crazy.
to kind of figure
I
out.
like it.
Yeah, because it's like
Melanie.
you have lived your experience. You're basing other things off of that.
Yeah.
So have you ever dated a man who makes like the 75K that you wanted or around that?
No.
No? Less than that?
I mean, I've been in a couple different relationships in my life. Nothing so serious that I considered marrying somebody, and nothing so serious that I introduced them to my family. But I have dated men where they do well for themselves, but I didn't see a future with them, so I didn't pursue the relationship further.
Damn.
Yes. Okay. Was it like official? Was it casual? What kind?
Just a casual.
Casual. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Out of the 4 people I dated, 2 did.
Okay. So you were like official? And
Yeah,
exclusive with
for
them?
more than a year
Okay.
each.
Okay.
Yeah. So the last person I was with made more than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Clearly, it didn't sway you wanting to be with a man who makes that much again. So.
Yeah, no, that was not the reason that we were together, and not a reason that we broke up. So.
Would you marry a guy who makes less money than you?
Yeah, I don't really care too much about the money. That's not really a contributing factor.
Okay. There's other things that are more important.
Yes.
Is it
there are.
Minnesota?
I would have no problem marrying
That is a
someone who makes less than me.
thick accent.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you said you'd be okay with being the breadwinner. And
That's totally fine. Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yes. Again, I don't think that it's a hard cutoff line. Money shows drive, but it's not everything. Like I said, there's some people out there.
Took me a while to realize that the Carson Caterino and the Destiny Caterino were the same person, whatever it was that happened. Why are you not covering the Trump shit? Somebody said that the indictments for Trump were released or unsealed and that we're going to get them soon. As soon as the indictments are out, we can read them, but I'm waiting for them to get unsealed right now, I think. They're not unsealed yet, right? Melly Mel. Wait, what happened? Are you doing the Mel thing? What? Did you just change outfits?
Yeah, because I went down.
What was wrong with the other outfit?
I get cold.
Well, why'd you put that one on?
Huh?
I love you. Wait, where are you going?
I get food.
Okay. Be Melville. Why do women wear so many outfits? I'm so confused.
Who are very passionate, have a lot of drive on their own. So yes, I would.
And I know you mentioned in the Would You Rather video, like, as long as they're still contributing something, you said that you would be okay with that as long as you're not the only one who's, you're not the breadwinner, right, per se.
Yeah, and I've actually in the past had, I've made good money ever since being out of college, so I've been, fine, but at the same time, I've had unexpected things pop up. I never want to raise a family and have that kind of stress be on multiple people. So while I make enough money and could be breadwinner of a family, I don't want to run into that problem in the future.
Got it. Yeah, especially because, money is the #1 cause of divorce. It's like, I don't even want to mess with that.
Yeah, I mean...
Is money the #1 cause of divorce?
I would.
I'm curious if the stat is on it. I feel like I've looked at different things and I've never seen that before.
And everything must be very great, too.
So what else would he have to have going for him in order for you to be okay with that?
He would have to just be a really great guy, be able to get along with my family, be a great family person. I'm very family oriented, so I want him to, at least be able to have the same going for him. Maybe he doesn't have a family, that's okay. At least be like putting my family first as well. And have goals and be able to accomplish them and have a good mindset. And take care of me, take care of me and myself, and put me first, and just little things too. So I guess the money doesn't have to mean anything, but as long as
I saw this. The guy kicked the truck and got shot. Bro.
So ideally,
why are you kicking another dude's car?
Makes more.
I would.
Get
fucked.
I
do. I hate to say this, but one of my first questions is I'm asking you how much money you make. I don't want to waste your time. Yeah.
You ask that on a first date?
Wait. I mean, yeah, I am. Before I maybe even date you.
What?
Okay, so have you gone on dates where you've asked men that?
Yes.
And what do they say?
So I have 18 questions that I'll ask somebody when I first get actually, it was my grandfather that asked these first 18 questions. And after he asked those first 18 questions for me to ask a man, I was like, I'm going to keep this going. I really like where this is going. And that is how I'm able to, like, you know, it's a very good 18 questions.
You just weed people out. Yeah. I'm sorry, you didn't
make it.
Did you come from a household that discussed the concept of money? Like, were you raised in a way where you were kind of more aware?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, I was.
I grew up my family has fluctuated financially significantly over the course of my life. So I'm very open-minded when it comes to how much money a person makes, and I don't equate how much money you make to a person's character. There is so many circumstances that affect how much money a person can make.
Imagine being a bad
Assuming
person
that someone makes
and making a lot of money.
and that
Doesn't
immediately
happen.
Means they're a
Imagine
hard
being a
worker,
good
that's not
person
fucking
and being
true.
poor. Doesn't happen.
Assuming that someone makes no money and that means they are not a hard worker. That's not fucking true. There are people who work in nonprofits that are the hardest working people you will ever fucking meet, and their time is donated. They probably don't make that much money, but they're the greatest people on this planet.
Wait,
And then there are
nonprofits? You
people
get
who
paid.
are
You get paid for
born
working at nonprofits.
into jobs that they were just given.
Nonprofit
They make
doesn't
a
mean
shit
the
ton of
people there
money,
don't get
and they
paid.
didn't do anything to earn their work there. They might work 1 hour a day. So as trying to attribute like characteristics to the amount of money that someone makes is just not accurate.
That's
Yeah,
what
there's
I
all
do.
this talk about like being high value, and a lot of people equate that with making a lot of money, but I don't think that's true. I don't think just because you make a lot of money means that you're high value. And I think viewing people that way
Not
is
a lot,
really
she means? They pay really
detrimental
low?
and
I thought some
harmful
nonprofits
to
pay quite a bit.
relationships.
Maybe I might be
agree with
wrong.
you.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that.
No, not really. I'm very, very fortunate. My parents did make great money. They do make great money. I'm so fortunate. I really am. I don't mean to highlight my privilege, but that is absolutely where I come from.
Well, you can't help where you're born into.
Right. And so we really never, like, my parents always instilled just, you know, work hard.
Rolex
and,
is
you know, the money will
nonprofit?
come.
Is that
kind of thing.
true?
And that's to me, I was always like, oh, work hard and money will come. Cool. College, right? So like we go to college, and I just graduated with my master's in December, and it's so funny now because I was even talking to my parents about, like, I'm very surprised on how little I'm making with a master's, and you know they both were like, oh, it'll come. You know, the money comes, it comes, and I'm like, okay. Sure,
Money
and maybe
makes
that was
them
their
come.
experience. But
You know
after
what I
you're
mean.
telling me all those statistics, I'm like, I don't think so. Like, I really don't. It could. I'm not saying it could not come, but
It takes a long time to make money. It's a good money in a lot of industries.
Right. And so it does take good time, and I am very surprised though. But money was talked about, but my parents are very financially responsible as well.
Yeah.
So maybe they instilled those values in me. So now I'm like, oh, I'm kind of happy they did that, because now I'm like, oh, I'm gonna save all my money.
That's a good skill to have.
Yes and no. My parents always taught us, you know, if you buy something, buy something quality
Destiny
so
God's
that you
Day.
don't have to replace it over time, that kind of stuff. And my parents always taught us, like, you got this $20 for your birthday, you got this $10 for your birthday. Like, this is a lot of money, you take care of it. But it wasn't in the way that I think, like, when I would raise my kids, I always think of having these 3 jars, right? And so you teach people the difference between this is your invest money. So if you want a lemonade stand, you know, you can go buy lemons with this part of your jar. Another third goes into, you know, savings, and then the other third is your spend fund money kind of thing.
Do you think as a society we prepare people for grasping the concept of income or just financial literacy in general?
No, not at all. No, because there's still so much stigma around how much money you make. Even like the idea of sharing your salary with people in your workspace is like a new thing. Like my team at my company, we are very big about being open about that on our teams, but like have I had managers in the past try to tell me in one-on-ones, hey, don't tell anyone how much money you make. Yeah. Do I know my legal right to do that? Yeah, so I'm gonna keep fucking talking about it. But like no one talks about it, and so we don't know. And that's kind of like the way I was raised, you know, like we didn't have a lot of money when I was really young. We moved to a township where everyone in the township made more money than my family. It was very obvious. I knew it to be true. And I still struggle with my like relationship with money and how I view myself. Like I struggle with that all the time. I try to convince people I make more money than I make by the way I dress, by like the kind of laptop that I get, by just like I feel a need to convince people of it because I know that they're going to be judging me for it, even though I know I'm not probably going to judge someone for it. But like it's a social dynamic that exists, and I fucking hate that it does.
Wow.
A lot of women have sat here and they want a guy who makes $1 million, But they don't understand, first of all, it takes a long time to make money.
So much, yeah.
Like, sometimes you have to grow with a person and your relationship and build your wealth together. Like, it's not just like a millionaire is going to show up on your doorstep.
Absolutely not. Along with a lot of other things that I think we've kind of failed at. But I think people are becoming more aware, and what stinks about it at this point in time is that now people are really feeling the effect of that lack of financial literacy.
No, not at all. When I was going through school, particularly in like high school and in college, there were no financial literacy classes. I know that they try to like teach people stuff, but in my career and things that I see, people have no idea how credit works. People have no idea debt to income ratios. They have no idea how loans work. They have no idea where to even start with a lot of this stuff. And I think that's, doing a disservice to people by not educating and not teaching them. But it starts at home too. If the parents aren't financially literate, they're not going to be able to teach their kids how to be financially literate. So it starts there. I mean, my parents did a really good job teaching us, like my siblings and I, about money and those sort of things. Like, I have no debt. I don't think a lot of people my age can say that.
So you're 24 and you have no debt.
Yeah, I have no school debt or anything like that, because I worked really hard for scholarships, academic scholarships, so that I could put myself through school.
Well, sorry.
Not have to worry about paying bills.
Okay, hold on. There's a lot of things being said at the same time here. I put myself through school. Can you say that if you get a scholarship? Do people say that? No, hold on. I'm not even going to agree with chat. Even if most of you side against me, fuck you. No, if somebody says some shit like that, I put myself through school. I'm thinking you work through school. There's nothing wrong with getting a scholarship. If you get a scholarship, that's awesome. But if somebody says, I got a scholarship, that doesn't count as putting yourself through school. Putting yourself through school means you worked and paid it off as you went through it. That's what that means. Fuck you. Even if most of you disagree with me, you're wrong. Fuck you.
Back thousands in loans for the rest of my life. Like, my parents did teach us how to be financially responsible. I can't attribute that to my upbringing. Yes, but not everybody is in that kind of a fortunate position.
Right. Yeah, and I think we can learn a lot about our society by what people don't know, and financial literacy seems to be a big one.
I agree.
Just from interviewing people, like, most people have no idea how rare it is what they're asking for. I mean, if you're sitting here asking for a man who makes $1 million, okay, that's fine, shoot for the stars. But also, what do you bring to the table? What does that guy want from you? And understand that you're asking for
felonies.
a
I got 32 felonies. I got 33 felonies, bitch, I'm Bill Bellamy.
You're asking for something incredibly unrealistic.
Nice.
And you're not bringing the value to the table either.
Yeah.
People want everything, but they don't want to put any effort in. If you want somebody like that, you have to be willing to bring the same level of effort that person is pulling. Like, you can't just expect somebody to hand you everything and you do nothing.
Be what you want to attract, right?
Yes.
Not as well as we could. I was homeschooled, so I had a lot of financial transparency within the education that I received, and I'm really grateful for, to my parents for that. But I hear that, the high schools, they don't really talk about personal finance. People will take courses in college, and that's mind-blowing to me, because unless you're in a business field, you're still not taking a personal finance course.
That is kind of mind-blowing that we don't teach finance in school or whatever. It is really
so
weird.
Why they haven't integrated more
DA press conference on Trump Raymond in 35 minutes.
financial
Gotcha.
courses at the high school level, I think that's way more important than some of the other stuff that they're teaching.
Yeah, like the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Why do I need to know that?
Right. I've never used that other than in that class that I took. So I think that the next generation would be set up so much better if they just made a couple of changes with the education that kids are receiving.
I agree too, and just like
They make you take econ. Heads up. Remember, okay, I know this sounds weird. Econ is not finance. The two have nothing to do with each other. It's like saying that, like, I'm a power lifter because I got like a PhD in biology. Econ and finance are completely separate things. They're not even remotely related to each other. They don't have anything to do with each other, okay? Not at all. They don't even deal with anything.
And what they should be working towards, first of all, what's realistic, and what they're asking for in another person. I think expecting something of yourself is one thing, but when you're expecting it from another person, it's a whole new ball game, right? And as a woman makes more money, she typically wants to be with someone who's at her level or above, so then that automatically limits the pool of men that you're selecting from. And decreases your chance of success in your dating life. I mean, even an average master's degree salary, someone who has a master's degree, is $69,786. And think of how much debt you have after going to school. It's crazy. And I think you can learn a lot about our society by what people don't know in this case. And most people don't know the statistics.
No, I don't. I really don't. I wish they taught about it, you know? I really wish they did.
You would think something so important would be something that we learn.
Especially because in society too, it does matter. I mean, money matters as much as we want to say it doesn't. Maybe not in a dating, but just living. I mean, you have to buy groceries, to pay rent, to live on your own, to buy a car. Everything requires money. It does. And if
Destiny, do you think anyone in high school would actually pay attention to financial literacy? I hear this a lot, but I feel like when I think back to my public school experience, half of these people wouldn't pay attention in a course of civics either.
That's so incredibly difficult.
Actually true.
Nobody prepares you.
That's probably true. They probably wouldn't pay attention.
Nobody prepares you hey, this is how the world works, and this is why money is important. This is why, I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't think we were prepared at all.
It does matter to an extent, and I think to say it doesn't would be silly, right?
Yes.
Because financial independence and being responsible, I think, matters a lot. And then money is the number one cause of divorce, so it's clearly X is affecting Y, and it's like a trickle-down effect, right? It does matter.
It does. Absolutely it does.
No, I think also in our culture, we're so hush-hush about talking about money, and I think that we've had this whole American dream pushed on us for so long, and what does that look like? It's the money, it's the beautiful things, it's the beautiful wife, it's the picket fence and everything else, and that...
Wow, we're getting red-pilled in here, guys.
What is it? What was it, Hemingway that said this? That a lot of people think of themselves as just an embarrassed...
Temporarily embarrassed millionaire
in waiting. Yeah, a lot of people are thinking, when I win the lottery, when I do this, these really unrealistic expectations. And I remember from my own upbringing and education where financial literacy isn't really pushed on you. It wasn't really taught in schools. It was learn everything except how to take care of yourself, really. And I think that's been such a detriment to a lot of people, because you just see the flex in front of you. You don't see either the work behind it or the credit card debt behind it or anything else behind it. The only advice I really got was, if you can't pay off the credit card bill every month all the way, cut up the credit card.
True.
But we are such a consumer society that it's hard for people to not want to, again, feed into this idea that new is better, and it's, giving us a serotonin hit of new shiny things, and not really understanding that that's temporary, but that debt is there.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people also don't know, some of the most wealthy people in the world are the most depressed. And just because you have all these nice things or make all this money, I mean, to a certain threshold, life really doesn't get much better for you.
Right.
Once you have a certain amount of things. Of course, it's nice to be, not having to worry about bills and being paycheck to paycheck. But after that, it's kind of just
now what?
Yeah.
And if you don't have hobbies or goals or things that get you excited about getting up for the day, then you're going to be unhappy. And again, money isn't.
Okay, do we need their life philosophies? Are we done with
In
this?
my younger days, it was, sure, I would definitely have I've fell into that fantasy before, and then...
Okay, we're going on this.